Okay. So this is for anybody who's applying for the upcoming video games call, which the deadline is next month, the 12th of February. So you've got a few weeks, but it's a good time to start now. So you literally, I'm starting from the very beginning. So it's Funning and Tenders portal. Now of course, I went straight into it. I'm already logged in, so you might have to sign in. So when you get in, it'll look like this. So hang on, a call for proposals. Of course, it's not working. Please try again in a few minutes. Isn't that brilliant? See, hang on, I'm gonna go back to the very beginning. Joys of live TV, eh? There we go. This is the screen that you'll see. Okay. So when you come up here, you got funding calls for proposals. And it doesn't work. Aha. Okay, it just takes some time. Now, so when you go in here, right? So for me, it automatically comes up Creative Europe. So all the calls automatically come up. But if you see here, and you can do this go along this at the same time as I'm doing it, okay? And you'll see here, Create Your program period call. So you can click in the call here. So if you put in video game, yeah. No, it's a great start. Okay. Now see, this is it here. If you scroll down, so it's dev v game. So development of video games and immersive, right? So when you go there, here we go here. Okay, now this is your main page, right? So you got the topic description, any of the updates that might happen. There might be changes to the call, little tweaks. Probably won't, but if they're there, it's going to be here. All the conditions, the eligible countries, call document. See, everyone here is the call document. The call document is your Bible for this. So everything that you need is in that call document. It also gives templates of the various forms that you need, but don't use these templates. Use the ones that directly from your application process. So as we go down, it's this here, and then it says start submission. Okay, so you click here, start submission. It's okay. Okay. Now your pick number. So you have to have a pick number already registered for your company. So I'm not going to go through that, but if you need help with that, give me a shout. Right. So you put your pick number in here. And then the acronym, that's going to be the name of your project, an acronym, and then a very short summary. You can go back and change this, but you have to put something in here just to move on to the next page, right? And then on the left-hand side, you can see here, right? So this is all the information you need, okay? I love this. It says, please submit your proposal at least 48 hours before the deadline. That's what they want to avoid system congestion or any other issues. So yeah, aim for 48 hours before if you can. Of course, you're still going to be doing something on the day probably, but at least if you have one version in, you can always go back and change it. So your deadline is 12th February, 28 days, loads of time. This is your topic, name of the action. Over here, see this download part B templates? That's what you'll need. Okay, this is where all your templates are. So if we save here, won't download that yet. Save here and go to the next step. That's fine. You will get an email. All the small print, all good. Okay, so it's just double checking that that's exactly what you've applied for. Okay. Right. So this is where you put in your contacts. Now you can, if there's a couple of you working on it from one company, you can add in as many contacts that you want. Okay, because it's handy. That means everybody will get updates. You know, if they need more information or anything. So it's good to have a few contacts from a particular company. Plus, if you have a partner, So if you have a co-development partner or that you're actually working on the development of, you can add it in here. And also if you have any affiliated entities that are involved directly with this project, you can add them in here as well. Okay. But again, you can always go back and add them in. So for me, it's just me and the media desk. So we'll just save and go to the next step. So this is what you see. Okay, so this is where you upload everything, right? There's a few documents to upload, as you can see, but we'll go through all that. So what I'm going to go through is, I'm going to go through up here, you'll see edit forms. That's also known as part A, right? But I'm not allowed to put part A in there, so it's edit forms. There's media database, and then there's part C, which is KPIs. Okay, so there's that. So they all lead you to two separate screens. And then you download the part B templates, and then you upload a lot of documents here. So I'm going to go through these first, and then I'm going to go through the templates, and then I'm going to go through the budget and the application form after that. Okay, so I'm going to get everything done, because you can actually cover a lot, get a good bit done at the beginning, and then really focus on the application afterwards. Okay, so what have we got here? So we've got part B, that's in the templates, budget table, templates, creative dossier. It's not a template, but I'll show you what to do for that. The rights contracts, you have to have the rights for the project, even if it's your own project, or somebody in the company has come up with the idea, you still have to have that legally bound rights document for the actual project. Supporting documents of co-production, distribution, and financing. These are any LOIs, any letters that you have from publishers, or any other funders that you have, that they can go here, because it puts weight on with the project then as well. So it just shows that that they're not the first to jump, that other people are interested, and it also helps if it's the more international, the more European it is, because it is a European project. The next one is the PDF with information about the films works generated from the media database. This one's an interesting one because the media database is here, right? So we'll go into that. You fill in this here, but the problem with this is that this is the people in Brussels can see this on their end, right? On the other side, but the evaluators won't have access to that. So for the evaluators to see it, you have to download what you've filled in here and then re-upload it here for the evaluators. Okay. Then you got the information on independence, ownership, and control. It's an Excel. I'll go through it. It's an Excel about basically the ownership and the shareholding of the company. They want to see that it is European. The majority is European. A few companies have fallen through have made the mistake over the last few years of thinking that somebody from the UK has been living here for years and a shareholder of a company. It was never an issue before, but they put it in, and then suddenly the whole project wasn't eligible because they were living here, but they weren't EU nationals. They were UK nationals, so that didn't work. So just be careful about that. And then we got information on language of submission documents. So all the documents. So in other countries, they might have different languages, and it just means that they have to go and I have to source or find evaluators who can speak those languages, because you're not allowed to have or you won't be getting an evaluator from your own country. So the evaluator of your project will be from 2 different countries. So they have to just make sure that for us, it more than likely would be English. But that's what that's there for. Okay, so we'll get started. We're going to edit forms first. All good so far? All good? Okay. We'll go to edit forms first. Okay, so this is basic admin information, right? So you got general information, participants, budget, and other questions, right? But this is for every call. So you need more information in some calls than others. Very straightforward. There's the acronym proposal, the language. So it'll be if you've got more like English, but if you've got other ones, you can add them in. Actually, it's only given one, so yeah, more than likely be English for the majority. Duration of the months, so you put that there. It's 24. Fixed keywords. If you click, so whether it's computer games, and you can add in another one here. This is, game development, like whatever. I mean, this goes back to, the statistics for Europe, so they can see at a glance which projects are aligning with the various keywords and their agenda and stuff. So, and then there's any other words that gives extra details on the scope of the proposal. Here is the abstract. Okay, so the abstract here is, if you click on this, clear understanding of the objectives of the proposal, how to be achieved, the relevance to the work program. So you'd be developing the game, short description of the game, and in communications. So the thing about this is it will be made public if you are successful. So it'll go up on the portal, on the successful projects portal, and it will be made public. So don't put in figures, don't put in anything that might be confidential or anything that you think, isn't completely confirmed yet. So it can be short. It doesn't have to be. This isn't going to be evaluated. So just put in a short paragraph about the project here. So as we go down here, has a proposal been submitted in the last 2 years? No. Unless if you have previously put in a project, put in funding for the project and it was rejected, you can go back in again a second time with the same project. So you would put yes in there, and they would ask you then for the actual reference number. So, and here's all the declarations that you click all here because it's all fine. So there's all these little tick boxes that you need to do, or you won't be able to submit it. So it's okay. So here, table of contents, validate form, save and exit, right? So we'll save this. Okay, and it'll come up. See, that's red. It's not going to see, I didn't click there. So once you save and once you validate forms as you're going along, it will highlight the things that haven't okay, very original with my names. It will highlight the areas that haven't been done. Okay, so we go back to table of contents. So that's general information. Then for participants, see, it's only here, right? So because there's only me, that's going to come up, or it's only one office. So you go into participants, details, type of organization, video games, department, carry out work, right? It's not applicable because more than likely you won't have an extra department. See, this is the same form. It could be a university filling in this form. So, and then you put information about your same as proposal organization's address. So again, just admin. Okay, so we say form. Go back to table of contents, go down here, we go to the budget here, and you put in the amount that you're requesting. Now it's the actual amount that's in the Excel. Okay, so I'll go to the Excel and I'll show you where you get the actual amount that you need to put in here. So it's the amount that you're applying for, not the total budget, it's the amount of the requested grant amount. Okay, go back here, and then if you go into other questions, not applicable. Great. Okay, right. So that's it, right? So that's part A, done already. Okay, so you save and exit form. Okay, so that's part A here. Okay, that's edit forms. If we go into part C, we're going to part C next, and then I'll do media database. So part C. Okay, very, very simple. So your location, you have to put in one country. So you put in Ireland. Okay, that's done. The type of project. Again, this is for statistical purposes. So if it's, pick whatever you think could be supporting more business. It could be Europe fit for the digital age. There's nothing about culture here or creative industries here. So just put in whatever you think to educating the skill fit for a digital age, right? Whichever ones you think. And then the project participants. Now, you just have to fill in the top on here. The rest of this is just for the report. So in 2 years' time, you'll be filling this in. But for this, so the number of participants, when it talks about participants here, it's talking about companies. So if there's only one company, there's only one participant. So if you are a micro enterprise employs fewer than 10 people. So I'm just going to put 1 in here, and then it's going to be 0 and 0. Okay, and all of these here, you just need to worry about them in 2 years' time. Okay, so we save data down here. Okay, and this is opened it up in another tab, so you just go back here, right? So that's part C done. You're already halfway through. Okay, so then we got the media database. So if we go in here, so what you do, this is where you put in the information about the project and about the previous experience. Okay, so you got 2 to fill in here, right? So you got recent experience and recent work and previous experience. So we can add 1 in here. So they only want the one, they don't want the list, everything you've done in here. They just want the one that makes you eligible. So that project. So you put in the title here, you put in the type of.
Stood right next to me reciting. I worked with Eminem once. He's like,
Okay, so type was a video game or is immersive content. So you copyright year, it needs to be in the last since 22, but I'll double check that. So you put the year copyright here, you put in the genre, what type it was an adventure game, role-playing game. Audience, you put in your PEGI here, whichever one it was, your website, your link, your ISAN, if you have one. Again, these aren't asterisks, so if you don't have one, that's okay. A short synopsis of the project, and then technical information, what type it is, it's online, single player, okay, whichever it is, okay. Production language, the localization language, assuming English, but again, and whichever way it's delivered, whether it's download, location based, you put in here. Okay, so there's a description here about exactly what the development is. Now this is for the previous game. So, and then you got the total development budget, your total production budget. Isn't this for previous experience? So the cast and crew, the main cast and crew involved in the project. You can have what they were. Okay. Your gender, sorry, the nationality, gender, first name, last name, and then the position that they had. All right, so you add them all in here. You need to have at least 2, okay, and then you can add on more. So then you got the production structure and financing. So this, they're not looking for, the publisher put in this amount, and then they're not looking for that. They're looking for how much money did you bring to the table. So if you brought 100% to the table for this project, then you put in producer, right? So that'd be the company, the share, which is going to be 100%, and the budget. Okay. But if you had a co-producer on it, then so what they can see from this is that if you had a co-producer and they brought 60% of the money to the table, then you would have been a minority co-producer on it, which means that it wouldn't be eligible, because you have to be the majority co-producer on a track record project to be eligible. So make sure that for your role here, that's more than 50%. Okay, and then the distribution. So this is the proof that it was distributed commercially. Okay, so you put in company name, whether it's Steam or whatever, whatever the company is that actually distributed, and then the platform what it was on, and then the release date, and then the URL if you have it. Okay, again, no asterisks, so you don't have to. Okay, this is really important that you have it within the time period, and that you will have proof of it if they come looking for it. So you don't have proof of it now, but if you have it, a URL there, they can go and check it automatically, and then it's done. Then they don't need to come looking for proof. So just try and so just make sure that that release date is right, and that you link, if you have a link there, that it's very helpful. Okay, so that's the previous project. You can save it as a draft. Yeah, I know. Okay, so I didn't, so again, it's telling me to fill in these things, but I'm just gonna move out of here. Okay, so when you save all, you fill all that in, you save all that, and then come to the next one. So this is the project that's you're actually applying for. So again, it's looking for the same information. Okay, so obviously you wouldn't necessarily have a website there. You can put your own website in, but you wouldn't have an ISAN or a link, or again, technical information, development cost, total production cost, what you think it's going to be, the start date of development, date of delivery of the prototype, and start date of production. So make sure that there's 10 months between start date of production, which must be later than the date of delivery of the prototype. But then that this can start, so the start date of development can be the date of the deadline, but just make sure that this is 10 months beyond the date of the deadline. Okay. Then we got the ownership of rights. So it's what type of, it's an original work, if it's an adaptation, the type of contract with the author. So it's a unilateral declaration of transfer of rights. It's usually the one that if it's within the company, that if it's employee of the company, that you would, we don't have any templates of that, so you'd have to organize yourself. So which it might be in public domain. Okay, so but just make sure you have to have the rights. This has to be legally bound. Start date of ownership and the signature agreement. And again, they're looking for the cast and crew, TBC for the mandatory role. So if you don't have, hopefully, you would have here, it shouldn't be TBC, but anybody else that you have in place, put them in. And then the estimated production structure and financing, again, same way. If you're planning to have a co-producer, but they're not in place yet, put them in and put them in for 20% or whatever you think that they will be bringing to the table. Okay. Because this is the production structure and finance, so it's the full production. Okay, it's not just about the developed. Okay, so that is, so when we go back here, right? So when you fill in all of this, okay, you will hit submit. Okay, it won't let me submit it now because a lot of the information is there, but you'll hit submit. So you submit it, and then a little button will come up and say generate PDF. So you will generate the PDF, download it, and then you upload it to here. Okay, so that's here, that's this one here, right? Okay, so it has to be max 10 megabytes PDF. Okay, and again, see the file name, you just have to, it tells you how to even make sure you name them according with this, because if you put in extra characters that it doesn't like, it won't let you save, which is very frustrating when you're trying to submit. Okay, so you upload it here. So that's all these three here. Okay. So the only one of these that you would put in here would be this one here. And then also the rights contract that you detailed in there would go in here. Okay. And then the other ones, I'm just going to click. I'm going to download this and I'm going to share. Any other questions? How long does it take to get a PIC number? Very quickly, you just go in and you can get one straight away. You have to put up information like your certificate of incorporation and your memorandum of articles and your constitution. But it's generated very, very quickly. And then you will put up further information as they request it. Okay. Okay, so we'll go to Downloads. So I'm going to share my full screen now just to show you. Okay. Okay, everybody can see that? I'm hoping. Okay. If you can tell me. Okay. So down to download. So that downloaded, right? And it looks like this. Okay. Double click it. So these are your templates here, right? So then here you've got your, I'm going to bring you over here. Okay. So here you have the application form, which is also known as Part B. You've got the detailed budget table, and then you've got the language of ownership and control down here. That this goes down to here. There's your language submission or independence and control, sorry. And then you got budget and you got the application form. Okay, so these all go in here. So there's only 4 templates, right? So here, so that's a part B, that's a template, budget's template. Creative.ca isn't a template. So this is your pitching documents. I don't know if you saw that there is an article at the moment up on our website that Paul Conway, we took the tips that Paul Conway gave at our information session before Christmas, and there's an article there, and it's just really, really helpful. It's all in one place, and he suggested putting it up as a treating it like a pitching project. Their pitching deck. He puts it in like a PowerPoint presentation and works with it like that. So it needs to be very very visual, very show your characters, show the world of the project. Everything needs to be in that. You need to give the evaluator as much information as it can. He also suggested not to use AI for the creation of it or any of the art, because it suggests that you wouldn't be able to make the actual project. So and be as authentic as possible. So that is part B. Then we got the budget to, the creative dossier, the rights contracts, like I said, supporting documents of code production and financing. So these are any LOIs. So you put them all into one PDF and upload them. Again, if you click on any of these eyes here, it tells you how big they can be. So 10 megabytes, right? So they're all 10 megabytes, except up here, 10 megabytes, but the maximum number of pages is 70. Okay, so this is very handy. There's a lot of information, a lot of really helpful little instructions across this if you give the time. Okay, yeah, and also here there's online manual, there's an IT help desk, there's a how-to, there's FAQ. A lot of this is like going down a rabbit hole. So if you have any specific questions, just contact us, I think. Okay, so as we go down here, then you got the PDF, and then you got your 2 templates. Okay, so we're going to go to the easy templates first. Okay, so we'll do the language of submission documents. Hopefully it'll open. Okay. Here it is here. Right, so there's your, and again, the instructions. The instructions are great, right? So you please provide the details of the languages used in, can everybody see that? There we go. In all of it, the rights contracts, supporting documents, all of that. Mention the type of documents that it is, using the ISO codes for the languages, which is EN for English. And don't change structure of the file. Don't add sheets into it, just write in here, right? So you got the acronym, you got the number, you got the coordinator, the legal name, which is company's legal name, pick, country, and then the language, treatment, and then just put in EN. Very simple. Very simple. You add it up here, so it's language, so you add it, so it accepts an XLS, right? So you can just save it and upload it. Okay, very straightforward. I like the easy ones. Get started on the easy ones because then it feels like you've got some handle on it. Okay. Next one then is the ownership and control. Get loads of instructions. Okay. So here it's looking for, so make sure everybody can see it. There's loads of sheets here because some projects have many, many partners. Okay. But for you, more than likely, it's only you'll be considered the coordinator. Okay, so you got the project name, you got the SEP number. People are always looking for the SEP number. SEP number is here. You go back to the original, it's over here, right? So that's your specific ID for that application. Okay. You got the name of the applicant, and then just ignore the rest of these. Okay, so the name of the company. Then you go in here, you go into coordinator. and here, right? So what you do here is, so you got the name of the shareholder. So it's the actual shareholding of your company. So whoever's down in the CRO as the shareholders. So you list them here. The nationality for physical person or country of registration for legal person. So a legal person is, right, so you got physical person or legal person. Legal person is a human being. A legal person is a company. Right? Why they can't say company, I don't know, but it says legal person, just confusing. So it's not your solicitor, it's not your lawyer. It's a company. So if a company has a shareholder, has a shareholding in your company, then you have to put that in there. Okay, so just say if we do put in legal person, right? You have to, if you go along, right? So this is a company. So the main activity of it, what is this, publishing company, whatever it is, say other number of shares, shareholding percentage. And then you have to put down the shareholding of that company. So it always goes back and back and back until you get the human beings. So as long as the human beings are majority European, right, not UK, it's majority from the media countries, then you're fine. Okay, but it has to keep going back until you hit all the humans. Okay, so if we put in physical person, then this goes. Okay, so you don't need to fill that in. Okay, so hopefully you guys are straightforward enough and it's like 3 people and 3 physical persons. Okay, and then it'll be very simple. Some of these can get very complicated, but hopefully yours are simple. Okay, and then again, that's it. Okay, so you save that and you upload it here, and we're already 2 in, 3 in if you've got the PDF uploaded too. Okay, and then you got your supporting documents, and you got your rights contracts, and then you got the creative dossier. Okay, so next one I'm going, so there's 2 left, right? So the 2 left are the budget and the application form. So I'm going to go to the application form first, and then I'm going to the budget. Budget's a bit of a monster, so well, so's the application form, mind you, but we've got loads of time. Okay, so as you can see, it opens up as an RTF, right? Or you save it, it downloads as an RTF. Don't work off the RTF, please, because you actually lose. It's impossible that the formats go all wonky, and it's really hard to work with, and you have to upload it as a, how do you upload? You have to upload it as a PDF. Anyway, so download it, please, as a Word. Okay. So if you open with Microsoft Word, and then just make sure you save it as a Microsoft Word, because if you just close it, it'll save automatically as an RTF. So here, so this is going to be the project, the document that you're going to be, working off for the next month. Okay, you don't have to fill all this in, in one go. People used to think that God help them. So, but no, so you can work away on this over the next few weeks. All the instructions are here. It form consists of 2-part. Part A, which is all the stuff that I've just bring you through, and then part B is narrative description, 70 pages. If it does go over 70 pages, the problem is that any of the information in like page 71, 72, 73 they won't be able to see it. The evaluators only get to see the first 70 pages. So this can be an issue for Slate, for Slate funding, when a company is putting in a lot of different projects. So, but it shouldn't be an issue for you. Supporting documents can provide as an annex and don't count towards the limit, right? So this 70 pages is purely for the part B. We have, I love this, they put the minimum font size, Arial 9 points, right? Because I think people are putting in 0.5 points to try and get as much information as possible, but no, so just stick to the Arial, and it's 9 points, and stick to Arial as well. It just makes things easier. So there you go. As we go, don't delete it. Oh, please delete only instructions that do not concern your call. And there's tags, right? So I'll show you what all that means now. Okay, right? So you put in the project name, the acronym, coordinated contact, and there's even like you've got a contents page for your application. Just a little scary. Okay. So we'll go in, see abstract. So that's the part that you filled in part A, which just remember goes public. So you don't need to fill it in here. These are the tags. See these in grayed out, so don't delete them. Okay. But as you can see, this document is used for all the different funding calls. So it can be very, very confusing. So you have to find your own funding call. So here is video games and immersive content. So what I would do is just, you can bold it. You can get rid of, that's for Slate and say, so you can delete all the other ones, but there have been situations where people deleted the wrong question, and they didn't fill in the question, so they got 0 for that part. So just be extra careful that all the questions are covered. So I just gray it out for now, and then once you're happy with it and you've read it 10 times, then you can delete them. Okay. So I'm going to go through the questions here, and just give you an idea what goes in each, and there's work packages and stuff that we'll go through as well. So the one handy thing to have open while you are doing this is the call document. So that call document that you can download at the beginning on that front page of the I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. Okay, so the front page of the funding attenders portal, when you go on about the information, it's this. Okay, so it looks like this. I'm sure you all have it. Okay, make sure. So this is everything in it. Okay, this is everything you need specifically for this call is in it. Okay, we go down to, if we slide the whole way down to page 16, right? So these are the award criteria. Have this open beside you when you're doing the questions, because it'll show you how much points go to each of the questions. So it's really, really handy. Now, it's sort of the whole tone of the application really starts with this one here. Okay, it wouldn't necessarily specifically align with any of the award criteria, but it gives them an overall view of the company and the project, so this really sets the tone. So so you provide a presentation of the applicant company, its management activities, present position, the national and European markets, and editorial line. Okay, so this is your pitch for your project or for your company. Okay, so the next one down is needs analysis and specific. So it's this one here. So describe the originality and creativity. So if you can see there, of the concept of the of the concept, right? And you can see it's directly here. Okay, so it's originality and creativity, the concept compared to existing work, okay, including the originality of the story. All right, so you got 10 points. So at least you know exactly. Okay, and go through the originality, go through the creativity of the concept of the project, compare it to existing work that's out there, and the originality of like this. So it's concept and the story. Go through every single word of these questions. I can't emphasize that enough, how important it is to deal with every single one, because points go to each part of these award criteria. So you have to answer every single one. We go down to the next one. It's European added value. Again, you have to look for video games. So here it is here. So it's the innovative aspects of the submitted project, right? The technique, content, gameplay, level of immersion, interactivity, visual graphic approach, etc. Go through everything. Have a heading for each single one, every single one of them, because it'll be broken down, right? So this part, level of innovation here, is 15 points, right? And if you read it, right, the extent to which the project pushes the boundaries of the existing offer, proposing cutting edge techniques and contents, such as use of new or latest technologies or platforms, that's what they're expecting. That's what they want to see. Okay. Innovation in gameplay, level of immersion level of immersion and interactivity, innovation in visual and graphic approach, innovative use of cinematography and viewing. Okay. So you see, if you just read the question, you would put in a certain amount, but it gives you more information here. So make sure you have this open beside you and deal with every word in the award criteria. Okay. So just make sure yeah, I can't emphasize that enough, that it really is, because I've seen projects and they either don't see a question or they figure, oh, we're much stronger in this bit, so I won't deal with this. It's like, yeah, but you're getting 0 points for this because you didn't deal with it at all. So just make sure you deal with everything. Even if it's not very strong in your project, talk about why, what about it is, or if it's not relevant to your project or whatever it is, but just deal with it. Okay. So the next one is environment and sustainability. See here, describe strategies to ensure more sustainable. It's here, adequacy of strategies, exactly the same. And the next one is gender balance, inclusion, and diversity. Either in the project or content or in the way of managing the activity. So in the first one, so these are 5 points each, right? So these are across every single funding call. There are 5 points for environment sustainability and 5 points for gender balance, inclusion, and diversity. So this isn't just, where we don't print out anything and we have a recycling bin. You try and, this would even go down to, like, is it a console? Like, think about the actual gameplay. Like, do you need a console to play it? Like, how sustainable is that? How environmentally friendly is that? So deal with all aspects of that. So deal with, I'm not sure whatever the I know for film there's an Albert's carbon calculator, whatever carbon calculator that you would use, deal with it here. Okay, so you talk about it here. And then the gender, so you wouldn't necessarily go in here about the actual subject matter. So if the subject matter of the game is dealing with environmental issues, you're not going to get any more points. Okay, so I mean, you could talk about there's a bit of teaching involved, and you can push it that way, so that might happen. Whereas the next question here, this is specifically, it's either in the project content or the way of managing the activity. So here that can be more about whether the characters are multicultural, and also here it would talk about your team, like, so that team that you put up in your media database, it asks for the countries, so show that that's multicultural, from different countries, so that can help, that can lead into it. So all of that, whether it's the actual team itself, whether it's a core value of the company, and it's the same with the environment and sustainability, and what's your policies, what's your training for new staff members, what for emerging talent, what is your policy. So however way you bring, really think about and the more authentic it is, it comes across the page more authentic. So if your company really is truly focused on inclusion and diversity within your company, it's not just gender balance, it's also inclusion and diversity, that it does come across more holistically, I suppose, and it comes across stronger on the page. So those two questions here. So there we go. So that's 35 points. So as we go down to the next one, you got the quality of the content and integration of the narrative. Okay, so here, and again, you go through every single word, right? So I got 25 points. So there's 5. It's broken down into 5. So you could so it's either non-immersive or interactive immersive, right? So it's broken down into 5. So you can, pretty sure it's around 5 points for each, right? Quality of storytelling, quality of visual approach to artwork, mock-ups, sketches, mood boards, etc. Quality of the graphics and sound design. Accessibility measures for users with disability and other impairments. And you can also talk about that in the inclusion question as well. And then you got, for non-immersive, it's quality and originality of gameplay, integration between gameplay and storytelling, quality of the level, and character design. So it's all here in one question, but when you're answering it, break it down, have headings for each one, and deal with each of them individually. Okay, it's also easier then for you, instead of just regurgitating it all onto one page, that and it's just one big long paragraph. Like, if you break it down, it's much easier for you then to go back when you're going back to read over it again and to deal with it. So it's a much easier approach. Okay, so that's 25 points. So then, what else, for here, they will also be looking at your creative dossier at the same time. Okay, so when you're talking about it here, they're going to have the creative dossier open. So just make sure that it aligns. Like if there's a whole world in the creative that you're talking about that is not visible at all, or even alluded to in the creative dossier, then just be careful on that, or the other way around. Just make sure it's the same project. Okay. Okay. So that's the quality. We go down to project management, and it's 20 points. So here, formats, first one we've come to that. It is not, see, NA for video games and immersive content. So you don't have to deal with this at all. Okay. So 2.2, you don't have to deal with, right? Potential, again, 2.3, not applicable. Okay, so you don't have to deal with that either, which is a good thing. Cost effectiveness, you have to talk about cost effectiveness. So this would be over here. So it would, so as you can see in the points, right? So, or yeah, the award criteria is adequacy of the development of finance and strategy and feasibility potential of the project. So we got the development strategy, the finance and strategy as well, but they will be looking at the cost effectiveness of your action and explain how the estimated budget is conceived in the most economical way. Please explain your co-financing strategy as well. You've got your risk management. So risks here, don't give a list of 20, pick the main ones, main headings and describe them. You might have a few, but you can group them into groups. Maybe 6, 7, 8. So whether that's a risk to funding, it's a risk to whatever, the artistic or maybe your writers or whatever the risk is, put it, make sure you put them here on the work package number, but I'll go into the work package now in a minute. So we got the project management here. So for the project management, nope, see, it's not applicable. Okay, so the only one in all of these here is cost effectiveness and risk management. Okay, so as we go down, project teams you have to put in. Again, you would put in similar to what you would put in the media database, and you'd put them in here. Development strategy is, so up here you got development strategy is 10 points, right? So adequacy of the development plan, schedule, budget, and foreseeing partnerships to the end needs of the project. So as you can see here, it's time schedule. So first of all, you deal with the stage that the project is submitted and identify its needs in terms of development. So you talk about what you've done so far. You talk about what needs to be done and what stage it's at and what it actually needs. Okay. Then the next one is you break that down. So it's like, okay, so these are going to be the activities during the development of the project and the development schedule. So the schedule is, it can be a month by month, right? You got 2 years. Okay, so just say the project's going to take 2 years to get to the point of production. That, it probably won't, but just say it does. You will go a month by month basis. You will talk about, but this is everything. This is not just the creative. This is everything. This is going to Gamescom Cologne, or going to GDC, or going over and meeting publishers. This is talking about it could be technical side of it, what the actual schedule is there, and you combine, so you have your technical and your development, your actual creative schedule, and then you've got your other schedule, but combine them, right? So you have an actual month by month, very detailed enough schedule of the development of it. So here it includes, because it's taken from film script writing, script editing, research work, choice of director, casting, location, schedule, start of film, and breakdown development budget. You also have to put the development, brief breakdown of the budget, brief here, because you're going to have put in a whole Excel of the budget as well. So the time schedule must indicate key dates, especially the start dates of the production phase, right? For video games, the date of delivery of the first prototype. Okay, so make sure that that schedule is really important here. Okay, but plus everything you put in here, everything you put in that it needs, it's going to have a cost, and that cost is going to be in the budget. So they're going to have the budget open at the same time while they're reading this, going, they're talking about stuff and it's not in the budget. So that makes no sense. So it's not correlated. So make sure that it does. So, you know, what I might be, you know, if you have a budget done already, it might be easier to work backwards, you know, and go, okay, and actually, so just whatever way you do it, just make sure it aligns. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Then we go down to the finance and strategy. And we have here, so over here you can see it's 10 points. So you got the development strategy is 10 points, finance and strategy is 10 points. And they've broken this down further here. Again, there are points attached to every single word in here. So just be careful. So here you describe the strategy to finance the development of submitted projects, because you can't, so if you're applying for, say, you can apply for up to 200 for the development. But if the development is actually going to cost, it can't cost the same amount that you're going to apply for, right? They cannot give you the full whack of funding for the full development budget, right? So it's usually around 70-30. I think it's, yeah, it's usually around 70-30. So I think it's 70-30. Yeah, I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's 70-30. That, so you would, the idea is then that you would have 70% of the funding coming from Brussels, but you also have that 30%, right? So that 30% needs to come from somewhere. So you have to talk about whether that's coming from, you know, private investors, whether it's coming from yourselves, whether it's coming from, you know, publisher, advanced, whatever way, it's probably not, but whatever way it's coming from, but it has to be, you have to talk about it here. Then the finance and strategy for the production of the project and draft a preliminary finance plan. You mentioned all the main options, suitable potential partners at national level and international level, as well as the initial financial elements already in place are to be confirmed. And for video games, you describe how the project will generate revenues and provide a sales estimate as well. Okay, so as you can see here, it's adequacy of the finance and strategy compared to the estimated production costs in terms of awareness and suitable potential financial partners, right? So they're looking for the suitability. They're looking, like, it's very project specific. They're looking to make sure that the partners that you pick are actually suitable for your project. Like the evaluators who are going to be working on this, on your application, are more than likely video game developers or publishers, and they understand the world, right? So you just have to make sure, so they will be able to see whether it's, why are they going with them? Because that makes no sense for this type of project. Okay, so just make sure that, and then they're happy that you know what you're doing, so they're more happy to hand you over the money, which is a grant, right? So it's good to have, so you don't have to pay it back. So then we have the experience or ability of the applicant to secure the necessary co-financing, right? So that's not here, right? So that's why it's really important to have this open, because this is what they're looking for. They're looking for that you have the ability to secure the necessary co-finance. So, you know, so this is where the letters will come in really important, that you've already been talking to a publisher that, or a distributor that, you know, so it's a very, you know, early letter of interest, that's fine, but it shows that you're actually talking to them, or maybe you've worked with them before, and that you've built up those relationships, whatever it is, that that you can show and you can prove that, yeah, okay, that they're happy and they're confident that you will be able to get this funded, so they're confident to give you the funding. Okay. There we go, potential to attract distributor or publisher, and then sales potential and revenue streams. Okay, that's important too for this. So whatever the game is, if it's a free, if it's in-game purchases, whatever whatever your plan is, and again, there's no one one plan, you know, it's not one size fits all, so it's going to be very project specific. So but just make sure you have to put in the sales estimate and how it'll generate revenues. Okay, and then we go down to dissemination as potential for European international exploitation and distribution and quality of the marketing strategy. Okay, so here, and it is, yeah. Okay. So describe the intended marketing strategy, right, national and international, allowing to reach audiences in early stage, including the definition of the USPs, target audiences and markets, innovative marketing and audience engagement tools and promotional activities. Okay. So with the potential for European international transnational appeal, taking into account the subject and the type of game or experience. Potential to cross borders, taking into account the experience, diversity of the creative team, and then the distribution strategy. So that's part of it, right? So this is the marketing side, and then we've got over here. So you got the marketing, and then you got the planned distribution strategy, the choice of platform media, the identified target audience and distribution partners already in place. Then the potential transnational appeal of the project based on the subject and type of game or experience, and the potential to cross borders based on the experience diversity of the creative team. I mean, maybe it's a team that have already worked on something else that have done particularly good in a particular country. Talk about that. Or the characters, or the, you know, that are already big. Maybe you've you're using an IP that is already popular in another country, and you can talk about that. So that's what, you know, potential to cross borders based on the experience diversity of the creative team and the story of the characters or intended cast and the localization strategy. Okay, and it's all here. Again, deal with every work is something. They're different. They're the same but different. So, but there are certain, just make sure that you deal with every single thing in both the award criteria and the question. Okay. Oh, there you go. There's marketing strategy. I was looking for that. So the marketing strategy, allowing to reach audiences at an early age, right? So definition of USPs. So that's the previous. So that's this one here, and there's your 10 points, and then you go down to distribution, and that's up here. Okay. And it is really detailed, so it's just make sure that you see it does. There's a lot of information to put down here. Okay, as you can see, there's, you know, but it works really well. It's like a business plan for your project. It really makes you focus on all aspects of the project. You might have necessarily have thought of certain elements of this. You might have thought about the marketing at an early stage. You might have thought of any of that. So this makes you sit down and actually go through all of that. So we got impact. The impact is not for this. It's interesting though, if you want to go through all the other calls and read what they have to answer. So there's Creative Innovation Lab or Innovative Tools. So it give you a good sense of the other Creative Europe calls. Then we go down into the work plan and work packages. So this is it's a good time to take a short break, I think, because I'm going to do this along with the budget, because the budget is broken down into work packages too, right? So you have to have particular work packages, and it's dealt with here. Okay, so you don't make up your own. They're all here. Okay, so I'm going to go through that. So, but the budget is broken down the same way. So you're talking about the activities. Basically, it's like a further breakdown of the strategies. You know, you've talked about your development strategy. So this is like a further breakdown of that and how it aligns with the budget. So you should have both pretty much open at the same time. And what some people do, like I was talking earlier, is like they have a budget already, right? They have a budget done, so they just have to sort of create a narrative from that budget, right? So that might be easier way to do it, or you can work on the work packages and then do a budget from that. So it depends. So I'm going to pause now for maybe 5 minutes. Does anybody have any questions so far?
No, I mean, my questions will be about the work package actually, because that was the part that confused me, so I'm happy for now.
Okay, so all good so far? Everybody else? Grant? Okay. So it's 5 past now, so maybe come back at 10 past and stick on the kettle and maybe get another strong coffee for this one because it's work packages. Okay. I'll
Cheers,
see you
all
in a
right.
bit. All right. Oh. Okay, so that is the the plan B, right? The actual questions. As you can see, I mean, we went through the award criteria and all of them were being dealt with in the questions. So there was no mention of work packages or anything. But they do look at the work packages because, like I said, this is what shows that you know what you're doing. Okay, so this is the breakdown. This is the actual plan for the project. And that it's coherent with the budget, right? So the work packages are, so if you go into the call document on page 18, right, you'll see that they are looking for work packages here, right? So they don't want milestones. Okay, so here we go. So we got the work packages over here. I'll start again. We got work packages. Okay. So there's lots of instructions here. It says, you know, there's lots of instructions, but as this document is for every single funding call, look to the call document specifically for your funding call first before you, like it says here, limit the number of deliverables to max 10, 15. But you don't need 10, 15. So for deliverables such as meetings, event trainings, workshops, right? So this isn't to do training materials, brochures, right? So this is a basically all encompassing. So look to this first. So we'll go here, right? So work package 1. Okay, so they've broken down in the call document what work packages you need. You need 3, right? That's it. Okay, you need 1 for artistic development, which includes narrative part, characters, graphic approach, and this. Okay, then you got technical development, right? So you got the artistic, you got technical, and then you got the finance and distribution and marketing. Okay, so it's fairly well broken out and it makes sense. Okay, so for here, right? So we got work package 1. So duration is so you would start, so month 1 would be, so if you're starting development from now, right? Your costs can be eligible from the 12th of February. Okay, so that's going to be considered, month 1 would be February, right? And we're going to go on to month 24. It's going to take that long. Your lead beneficiary is your company. Okay. Okay, the objectives are, you know, development of the game, or, you know, the objectives for each. So this is the objective specifically for the work package. So this is the artistic development. So this would be, you know, the artistic development for the project. This doesn't have to be long here. Okay. Task 1, right? So you will go back up to your development strategy and your schedule and your plan, and you will pick out the creative ones and you will put them in here. And you generally say around, I would say around 5, 6, max 7 tasks for each work package. If there should be a lot more, just group them in order. Okay, so one might be you know, character development. This is for, you know, the artistic development. So one might be character, one might be world, one might be, you know, story. So whatever it is here that you would break it down. Here you add the description in. The participants here, participants is not the writer or the artist. The participants is the company. Okay, so again, you're talking company. Okay, so your company name. The role of the company in this project is coordinator. And the in-kind contributions and subcontracting. No, big fat NO. And the reason for that is, I mean, you know, if you are working with writer in-kind contributions, or there's always a cost, right? So there's always a cost related to it. So no. Subcontracting, you can subcontract some, and it might make sense to subcontract some elements of it out. I mean, particularly in the technical side. The problem with that is when you go down here further, there's a whole, you have to explain the subcontracting, right? The name, the description, estimate, justification, why is subcontracting necessary, and then you have to talk about your best value for money. How do you intend to ensure? Like, are you tendering it out? What are you doing? So a lot of the tech, like you're not, if you are giving out a huge section, a huge portion of your funding to another company to manage it, then that would be subcontracting, right? And to make all those decisions, then that would be subcontracting. But you could argue, especially in a creative field, that it's not subcontracting to deal with these companies, it's a service. Okay, so because you will have the final decision at the end of the day. So I think that's the best way to look at it. So try and put no down right here. Makes life easy. So we're talking 6 or 7 tasks here. So you got the first one, then milestones. Don't put in milestones, right? There's enough going on. Okay, so we don't want milestones. Process don't want milestones. Sometimes much bigger projects, again, university level, whatever, you know, the massive projects that are put in, they would need milestones. You don't need milestones. Okay. And it adds a whole other layer to the portal contracting phase. If you do get money that you don't need to deal with. Again, there's enough there. So if they say that they don't want it, don't give it to them. Okay. And then as we go down here, you got the deliverables, right? So these are the deliverables. Okay, so you got the name, the work package number, lead, beneficiary, type, dissemination. So what the deliverables are, and they are there for a reason. So Creative Europe now, they do at the end of the process, right? So this is a grant. You get 200,000 euros into your hand, usually 70% upfront or 80% upfront, depending. And so you get that into your hand, and then you have to do a final report to get the final 20%. But you also have to put up those deliverables. And the reason is that they're not looking anymore for an invoice. They don't want to see an invoice. They don't want to see a receipt. They don't want to see the proof that it's actually been spent. The way they can see the proof is that you've done it by showing it through the deliverables. Okay, so you're showing the creative work that you've done. You're showing a contract with a publisher. You're showing the final actual product that you have developed and that you've actually worked on throughout this entire process. So they can see then that that's where the money went. Okay, so they don't want, so that's why deliverables are really important. So you have to put up the deliverables because that's what sort of releases the money, or it shows them the proof that the funding has been done. Okay, so here they're looking for specific deliverables, right? So it's you know, you can put in other ones if you want, but these are you know, I would put in these, you know, again, you don't add any more work. They know that they don't want you to make stuff up. They don't want you to add in documents that you wouldn't necessarily have done. So the documents that they want to see, the deliverables that they want to see, you will have them anyway for a publisher or whatever. So for example, right, so your updated creative development, right, treatment, script, Bible, game design document, you're going to have that. Okay, so that goes into work package 1. Okay, so work package 1 or 2 is update on key crew or casting. Okay, but generally makes sense to, well, it depends, like technical side, it would go into work package 2, and then maybe casting or whatever will go into work package 1. So that would be an update, just a report on the casting and what you have. So for work package 2, it's a link to the prototype or the trial version or the trailer or teaser if produced. Okay, if it's not produced, like if you have gone through all of this and you have spent the funding on, like you said you would, but it's not finished yet, and you don't have that final product, that's fine. Okay, because that's why they put in if produced, right? But if you just put in link to prototype, trailer, or teaser, and if you didn't put in if produced, they would be looking for that. And if you didn't have that, then they go, you know, we'll keep the money, thank you very much. So that's why they've specifically put in if produced, because they know it's a creative process. They know that in development things change, that's fine. Things get delayed for whatever reason. So just make sure that it's word for word. Okay. Updated financing budget and production schedules, which you'll have. Updated distribution and marketing strategies, and your interoperable standard identifier, which is your ISAN code or whatever the specific code is, forgive me, for video games. So they go into work package 3 because this is the work package that you're dealing with on the finance basis and stuff. Okay, so you've got the creative, technical, and finance and marketing side of it. So these are, so you fill these in here. Okay. Like it used to be a case where you'd make up your own deliverables, and they were getting lists of deliverables. So they had to, so in Brussels, and you know, things that didn't make sense. So that's why they've given lists now exactly what they want. So here you would put in, so you put in the deliverable name. So you literally copy and paste it, right? Now you can, right, you copy and paste it, right? Don't put in draft 5 of a script or whatever, because you mightn't have draft 5, right? So at the end, whatever creative material you have, you put it all into one PDF. There's your deliverable, right? Work package 1, your lead beneficiary, it's you, right? So you are the company. Okay, the type here is you'd put a report, okay? Unless it was a prototype, you could put in the prototype here. That could be patent filings or data sets or micro ethics, security, other, right? It's easier to just have a document and report, and you can put links in there. Okay, so that's that. The next one is funny. I think it's funny. Okay, dissemination level, right? If you put it in as public, right, they have no choice. They have to put it public. Okay, so there might be sensitive material that you didn't want made public, but you're like, but they're saying it's in the contract. You said it was going to go public, so it's going to go public. Okay, so don't put public. If you put in classified, then they wouldn't necessarily be allowed to read it because it's classified. So don't put in classified. Okay, you're not working for the MI6 or whatever. So you put in sensitive. Okay, it means that everybody can read it within reason, within Brussels, and it won't be made public, so sensitive. So everything really would be a document, a report, put links in, and sensitive. Okay, then you got the due date, and you got the description. So the due date could be, if you think that you're going to have, now you could have all of this at the very end, like month 24, right, the very end of the whole thing. But chances are you'll have the creative development done maybe after a year. Okay, so you put it on like that the due date is 12 months, right? But it doesn't have to be. You can put it in 16. You can put it in 24 if you want. Okay, but the only thing about putting it in 24 is that if you put all your deliverables in 24, in 2 years' time, it's going to be a scramble trying to get all of this information together. Whereas if you think you'll have certain documents earlier, then you can put them up earlier. Right, okay, and then the description is format, so it's a PDF and EN for English. Okay, so you put that there. You don't need this estimated budgets or resources. You don't need the staff effort. Or you don't, maybe not, you know, you don't need the subcontracting. You don't need events and training, because that could be for markets or festivals or whatever. You have to fill out the timetable. Okay, so all these tasks, 1.1, 1.2, that would be 2.1, 2.2. You just put one table and you beige out the months that you say that the duration of the activities is going to be. Okay, so the creative, you know, element might be 12 months, so fill it up to 12 months. More than 2 years, it's not going to be you, because it's 2 years is the max. So you don't need that. And you don't need the declaration. It's like yes to both. And then list of annexes there. I really wish I get rid of this, because you know, CVs, they don't want CVs. And again, this is because but they don't want CVs for any call, so it's very frustrating. So yeah, so ignore this. Okay, So that is part B here. Well, the previous projects, if you've previously gotten funding from Creative Europe specifically, put it in here. Okay. So that's that. So I'm going to open the budget now and show you how the budget then aligns with the work packages. Okay. The budget, okay. Right. So we'll go back in here. So it's an XLSM, right? It's a macro. Hopefully it worked for me. Okay. When this comes up, do you want to disable macros? No, you want to enable macros, okay? Because it works on macros. It's a bit alive. So so this is the budget. The instructions are great. You know, some of the information is quite basic, but the instructions are there for a reason. So people have you know, yeah, they've seen everything in Brussels. And I had to fill out a budget. So read the instructions. They are great. It goes through everything. It goes through, you know, the currency. They've even highlighted the first thing you need to do. You only fill in certain sheets, but I'll go through all that. So the instructions are actually really, really good. They've made them a lot better recently. So the first thing you do here, it even says it in number 5, right? You fill in the relevant maximum grant amount. So here, for a very first thing you do, right? So the first thing you do, well, actually, the first thing you do is the name of the call. So if I bring up, the name of the call is this, right? Okay, so I'm going to put that in here. Okay. So that's the actual name of the call. The acronym of your project would be whatever you put at the beginning. My very original test will go in there. Now, the maximum grant amount, this is not how much you're applying for. This is the maximum amount for this specific call, which is 200,000. Don't put in a euro sign. It'll automatically do that. See, it's the little things like these. And again, this is the co-financing rate. Don't put in the percentage. The co-financing rate is, and I'm drawing a blank on this now. The co-financing rate, I think it's 70%. Okay. Apologies. Okay. So you put all that in here, and then there's the employee types, right? So we're going to go, I'm just going to put in, you know, senior developer, right? I know this is very basic, but I'm just putting this in just to show you. Makes no sense, junior developer. Okay. So as you fill all them in, and it brings that information across into the other tabs, right? So the next one, so that's instructions, first sheet. The next sheet then is the beneficiaries list, right? So this is where you have to add it in. So you double click, add a beneficiary. No, you don't. We'll remove this beneficiary. There you go. Okay. Right. So, okay. So, right. So this is my company. Again, seriously original today. Okay. Right. So CO for company. Okay. And the country is Ireland. The Holy See. I wonder if they get any applications from there. Okay, so, and then you double click apply changes. Okay, so as you can see, so see down here, right? So you got beneficiary 001, you got work packages list, beneficiaries series 001, right? It automatically comes in there, right? So apply changes, but it's already here. Okay. Looks like it's crashing, but it's not. But it's just updating every single sheet. So that's the beneficiaries. If you have another beneficiary, you put it in. You put in a second one, the work package list, right? So this is where you copy and paste your, now where is it? Too many things open. Okay, so work package 1, artistic development, right? So that goes in here. Add a work package. And show you here, see, if I go into beneficiary 1, right, this is the budget that you're going to be working off, right? It only gives 1 work package, right? So we'll go back to work package 2 is technical development. Add a work package. Package 3. And copy and paste, give them what they want. Copy and paste what you have here, okay? And then you apply changes. So you double click. Again, looks like your computer's crashing. It's not. Okay, job done. Okay, so when we go back into beneficiary 1, you will see the 3 work packages here. Okay, so we have, okay, so the first one then is artistic development, second one, technical development, and third one is financing distribution activities. Okay. You can't delete a line, you can't add in a line, you have to deal with what's here. Okay. Now, in the instructions, I put in senior developer and junior developer. So that is what, so it automatically comes across here, but you can put in whatever makes sense for you. You put in the units, cost per unit, and beneficial. So I'm just going to add in, say, anyone's, I don't know, be a bit more. Is, and it goes by these, hang on. I am making up figures here. So, okay. So there's natural persons under direct contract, seconded persons, SME owners without salary, and volunteers. Natural persons under direct contract, if you have staff specifically for this project, you can put them in here, but there's actually a direct that you've contracted it to the company to work on this project, you can put it here. So that's staff subcontracting. See, there's a specific thing for that. Purchase cost. So then you're going, now this is only for the artistic development, mind you, right? Okay, so do the artistic, but do they have to travel, or is there accommodation? Is there subsistence? I'm thinking not a huge amount. More your travel would be down in the finance and distribution marketing, going to those conferences. So, but this is specifically for that work package. Again, talk about the, you're putting figures on the tasks that you have in the work packages in part B. So that's why people, they have their budget done out. They find it easier to fill this out first and then to work backwards and put the narrative on it. So whatever way works for you. So again, you have to work with what's here. Okay, so there might be fees. Fees will be a big one, right? So this is your writing fees, your artistic fee, casting, whatever it is. So we'll stick in a few here. Then production costs and technical costs of prototyping. That would be more technical development, so we'll leave that. And then sure, there's venues or studios. You could put it in here. And then other, right, in comments. Now, if you've got a massive figure here, then you go see all the way at the bottom. I'll go through these other tabs as well. But over here, you got any comments, and and they will look for this. You break down the actual cost and what it is for each, because you cannot add in a budget that makes sense for a game. You have to do what's here. Okay. So then we go down here, and again, you got technical developments. You can add in different types, so it wouldn't necessarily be in the first one, but they could be in the second one, could be producer or whatever. Again, I'm just going to put it in. Okay. I'm going to put in technical development. Most of it here is probably going to go into production costs and technical costs of prototyping. But again, remember this development. But this would be the technical side of it. But you will just have to explain it then when you in the comments. seriously making up figures here. God knows what we'll end up with. Okay. So as you can see here, as we're going down, there is an indirect cost for 7% automatically, right? So this is where they see your rent coming through. They see any overheads. That is what's going into the indirect costs. Okay. So, and then we got the financing and marketing. Again, the main developer or producer would be going to, so this would be their cost. Taken up here. Okay. Travel here would be what you would think. So there might be, 6 trips, 5 trips, let's say 500. So, and then you would be talking about, so they can look at it going, oh yeah, you've actually put it in the budget that you're going to GC or whatever. Okay. 10. Okay. And again, whereas it's, make sure that you have it in your head that it's finance, distribution, and marketing. So it might be fees, or other, if there's anything else, or a website or services for communication, promotion, dissemination. That probably makes most sense. But again, you would talk about it in the other comments, right? So I filled that out there. What are we up to? 377. Look at that. Okay. Okay, and again, just remember this is just for development. So this is a big game. Okay. So that is, so when you fill all that in, if you go into the next one, right? Any tab that's blue, you don't touch, right? So you can see it laid out here. So so if there are other beneficiaries here, they'd all be laid out here. So you could actually see at a glance what different partners get, or what the partners are getting. And then you got the proposal budget. It's the same thing, just laid out that way, So as we go across here, this is green. So this is the one that you need to look at, because this here, see the way my total cost of the whole thing were 377 that I put in. So the max total, because I put in 70%, or I put that in the instructions at the beginning. So it's calculated that the max total is 200,000, which is grand because that was the plan. So, but you make sure that that is the 200,000 that all the way at the beginning in part A in that edit forms, that's to make sure that that amount equals this amount, right? So it's exactly the same. So then as you go into the work package overview, right? So this is how much each work package is going to cost. And then the person months. Okay. Right. So here, 30 months. So it adds up in months. So those units, when we go back in here, those units here are monthly. Right. So you put them in here so they can see 70 months at the end. You got depreciation costs. If you have equipment that's used for the project, you can put them in here. And then this is where all your comments are. So when you are happy and you make sure that this aligns with the work packages and the tasks, which align with the development strategy, and the financing strategy, that you're talking about going to these markets and they're in every aspect. So there is a very strong coherent level on these. So it does take time to make sure that everything matches up. So that, yeah, so and then you can see it all there, and then it aligns with the work packages. So when you have all that done, you will save that as an XLS, because they don't, if you go into budget here, they don't like XLSM. They don't like macro. So you have to save it as an XLS and then upload it. And then you're done. That's it. Yeah. So that is, so you'll spend a bit of time on the budget table. I think the most important thing are the questions, and going through each of the questions and spending your time on that. Scan through this, get as much as this done like in a day, as you can, just the admin part, the part C, the media database, the edit forms, and then focus on the part B and your creative dossier and getting those letters in. because it all adds, as you can see with the award criteria, like everything feeds into a little area. And also about that, just going back to that part B, don't be afraid to repeat yourself. Like if you felt like, well, I've just talked about the, transnational appeal of the project, in a previous question, and you go, oh, see, question 2.2, don't do that. Repeat yourself. Don't be afraid of repeating yourself, because the evaluator could have a ton of applications. They don't have time. They're like, oh, but I just want to read it here. So give them as much information as you can. Make it as easy as possible for them to award you points, right? So don't worry about repeating yourselves throughout it. A few other things. So yeah, overall, it's about the content, the gameplay, and the tech really is very important, and that it's innovative. So that question at the beginning is, so that USP is really important. So find out what that is in your project. A few other notes that I had made. Really, the sustainable part. I talked about the the console and stuff, but the requirements of the games to be played. So whether that's whether that's a console or whether, can it be played on low power, and also think about the distributor and the publisher, like what are their policies with regards to, do they have a good track record in in this area. So it's not just about your company, it's about all your partners. So whether it's the publisher you picked or you're planning to pick, so so think about all of that. What else? Yeah, I think that's the risk management. Yeah, be aware of the weaknesses, like, and to talk about the weaknesses. They if you haven't done a game on this scale before, like, talk about that. Or if they want to show, because if you're going from a tiny game to a huge game, but you don't show that, that you're aware of any weaknesses that might be there, just explain that and talk about how you're going to mitigate that, whether that's working with a stronger, video games, or bringing on an EP, or whatever your approach is. Talk about that, and yeah, just give them no reason to give you, like, no points. So just yeah, and also how to, in the marketing, also that's how to support the publisher during the development. So keeping the publisher, hopefully, and I know this is in all cultural spheres that the partners are coming on much earlier. So if your publisher is coming on earlier, like, give them the tools, give them the artistic material that they can actually help promote it earlier, and build up that appetite for the project in advance. So yeah, so that's it. I'm going to stop recording.